Good evening. Welcome to the Hingham Board of Selectmen meeting for Tuesday evening, January 2nd, 2018. Happy New Year to everyone. First order of business is the approval of the minutes from December 19th. I was not present for a portion of that meeting, so I am not going to vote on the minutes, but I'll accept a motion from either one of you.
Move to approve the minutes of December 19th, 2017.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Public comment on any matters not on the agenda? Okay. First item of business that the board has is the transfer of a license from RMP LLC. Are you here for that?
Yes.
Could you come up to the table, please? Introduce yourself. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Phil Markella.
Hi, Phil.
How is everybody?
Good. How about yourself?
I'm fine, thanks. And I'm here on behalf of MJH, and they are the buyers of the liquor license. It's for the Main Street Market in Deli. As you may know them, between the two of them, they've owned the business for. When did you buy it? She bought it in 2008. She sold the business to Elaine Hood, MJH, in 2015, 13? 2015. And now they're joining forces. And they're two of the three principals of the MJH Inc., and they're buying the liquor license.
And so will it move to the Main Street premises? Or
It will, yes, that's where it's going to.
And you can sell beer there now, right?
Correct.
Okay. So this would be a full liquor license for that location?
And Tom, all of the paperwork and everything is
Yes.
all in order?
Yes.
Any, Paul or Karen, any questions?
Just with respect to parking, do you anticipate that an all liquor license is going to be a significant uptick in your business?
I don't think it'll interfere any more or less with that. It's more of a convenience for the customer. I mean, I don't see it creating an issue.
This is the Little Red Store,
Yeah.
formerly Al Clay's, once Riddle's, once Jack's. All right. Well, good neighborhood business, so I just slow down a little when I go by there.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. So you had one prior disciplinary action as Square Corp. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
My son did serve to someone who had come in.
Well, hold on, so this is for Square Corp you
Yeah.
were asking for, right?
Yep.
What's that?
That's the transporting alcohol without a permit.
Oh, yes. This is the Duxbury store.
Oh, I'm totally confused.
It's okay. The Duxbury store, Vicky Patel's family owns two stores, one in Middleborough. Excuse me. One in Middleborough and one in Duxbury. And over a heavy weekend, they were transporting some extra stock from one store to the other, and they didn't realize that they needed a special permit in order to do that.
Right. Yep.
And it was adjudicated, and there was no subsequent issues.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else? It's a nice business, and I also know that on occasion, I know when I've been in there, people who work there and go there are good to point out when cars park in places where they're, if you try to park along the fence and things like that. So, there is the parking in the rear, and it seems to work pretty well. There's a lot of responsibility of both, the operators as well as the patrons. So, would someone like to make a motion?
Sure. I move that we approve the transfer of the package store all alcoholic beverages license from RMP LLC DBA Douglas Wine and Spirits 211 Lincoln Street to MJH Inc. DBA Main Street Market in Deli, 484 Main Street, Victoria A. Patel, manager, subject to the approval of the Massachusetts Alcoholic Beverage Control Commission.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Well, good luck.
Thank
We'll
you
be
so
in.
much for coming in.
Thank you. Thanks for
Happy
Thank you
being
very
New
here.
much. Happy New Year to you.
Some Baileys for the hot chocolate, I think.
Yeah. So this evening, we actually, with this being the first meeting of the new year, it's actually somewhat of a short agenda, and the board will be momentarily heading into an executive session. But prior to doing that, as part of our sort of end-of-the-year housekeeping activities, one of the things that we look at are all of the various town committees that have been, task forces that have been appointed. And this is an opportune time to discharge any groups whose work has been completed. And with some of the groups as well, the work was completed, say, a year ago, but we didn't want to discharge the group until we were sure that there weren't any follow-on items that might necessitate bringing them together. So tonight we have 5 votes, beginning with the 2015 CPA Task Force. And this was actually a task force that Paul, we created 3 years ago at the request of the Community Preservation Committee at the time. And this was to look at the opportunity to make the Selectmen seat on the CPA be optional. So a Selectman, one of us can sit on the CPC, but we can also appoint someone to that seat. And town meeting approved that at the I believe the 2016 annual town meeting. And there were 5 citizens that were involved: John Davenport, Terry Farrell, Lissa Tully, Kathy Reardon, and there was one other person. And now I'm embarrassed that I'm not remembering who that was, and my apologies.
I was impressed you could reel off the ones you did.
So anyway, I will make a motion to discharge the 2015 CPA Task Force
Second.
with thanks.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The next group is the Herbert L. Foss Memorial Committee. I don't know if either of you wanted to say anything about that group.
I want to thank the men and women that participated in it. Veteran Service Officer for keeping a steady helm. That was at times difficult, but in the end, a highly enriching and rewarding experience for the community. I think we got it right. I think it's in a great place. And I can't thank the people that hung in there and saw it through enough. And I want to include within that sweep John Asher as well for his significant contributions to the end result.
Yeah, and I think all 3 of us were in attendance for the dedication of the Intermodal Center, and it's a beautiful memorial with the ability to listen to a digital recording of Seaman Foss's voice. It's really, really a treasure for the town, I think. Great work by that committee.
Yeah. And I would just add that there were, many dedicated citizens who served on the Memorial Committee, and many others who, while they didn't have a formal role, their passion and their commitment and their drive were instrumental in making this happen as well.
Absolutely.
Would you like to make a motion?
Sure. I'll move to discharge with thanks the Herbert L. Foss Memorial Committee.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next is the South Hingham Study Committee.
I'd like to thank the men and women who stepped forward to serve on that committee. When I was first elected as a selectman, I was concerned that there was a vacuum within the boards as to the total picture of what was going on up there. So I proposed, and the colleagues I sat with at the time agreed to form this committee. And I think that the work that was done in that 3.5, 4-year period has given a great blueprint for future boards or even the present board to realistically study development proposals that are being considered or submitted. And I'd also like to thank the stakeholders there, because it was a cooperative process where the communication was two-way, and I really thought that having the landowners participating in the conversations gave them a realistic view of the constraints that we were working with. And in particular, I'd like to thank Judy Sneath. She's a friend, former colleague on the planning board, but she also served as chair. and I thought she did a fantastic job. You know, we had over 30 public meetings in addition to her own duties on the planning board, and she brought it together with, you know, just such grace and dignity. I'm very pleased that she agreed to stay on in the 3A Task Force as well. So, thank you very much, one and all.
Okay. Would you like to make a motion?
Sure. I'd move that we discharge with our thanks the South Hingham Study Committee.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
You want to take the next one?
Sure. Next committee that we'll discharge is the Town Administrator Bylaw Committee. I had the privilege of serving on that committee for 3+ years with David Pace, Tom Carey, Charlie Cristello, and Nelson Ross. I think the committee worked diligently, had several public meetings to discuss the structure, really, of the administrative side of our town government, and I think has put together a structure that helps us move forward with consistency and purpose. And so I was privileged to serve on that group, and would move that we discharge with thanks the Town Administrator Bylaw Committee.
Not to dredge up old stuff, but I mean, that all arose out of a very unpleasant period in October 2014. So I thought that what needed to be done was done, and I thank you for that. I include Tom Carey in that as well. That was a tough time. I thought Nelson Ross's contributions to the town and to this committee in particular were at their finest when the town needed him the most. So I know he's not here to hear that now, but you know, it was needed.
Yeah, no, and I couldn't agree more. He's thoughtful, reflective, smart. You know, the tone and temperament of the committee I thought was really important given the turbulent times. And you know, I'm proud of the effort, and I was really humbled to be part of that committee.
I would just also recognize that Betty Foley was the liaison to
Yes.
that group, and this very high-powered, hard-working group kept Betty Foley pretty busy. And she played a very important role as well, and our town is stronger because of the work of this committee. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And last is the Underground Utilities Task Force, and this is a task force that was convened several years ago and has been inactive, Tom?
Yes, they were created by the Selectmen in 2007. Work was completed about, I don't know, a month or two ago, and we're ready to discharge them now. 10 years, I think.
It's long enough. Yeah.
It's I know we all wish that many of our more utilities in Hingham could be underground, particularly along Main Street, but we're grateful for the areas that are. So I'll make a motion to discharge the Underground Utilities Task Force.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Town Administrator report. Tom, do you have
Nothing
anything?
tonight, no.
Okay.
Thank you.
Paul or Karen, anything before we go into executive session?
Just briefly, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank the chair for making this a short meeting tonight. My son, who's in the service, is driving home,
Yay.
and I anticipate seeing him shortly after we leave this building. I'm very much grateful to all the residents and citizens who supported my son and our family during his time in the service, and I'm just so grateful that he's returning home to our family.
Fantastic news.
Amen.
Just wish everyone a happy and healthy new year.
I'd just add one thing. I just want to thank Jean Montgomery and everybody in the Treasurer Collector's Office. You know, the last week of the year, Town Hall, it's a little quiet. A lot of times, people take vacation and things. And the passage of the new tax, the tax legislation meant that, right before Christmas and all last week, the Treasurer Collector's Office here in Hingham, like in many other communities, was bombarded with phone calls. People had a lot of different questions. Some people wanted to pay their property taxes early. Some had escrow relationships with banks. It was a little complicated. Then on Wednesday, the Internal Revenue Service came out with a bulletin that really didn't clarify things very well. As a matter of fact, some would say it left more unanswered questions than it answered. And all throughout that time, Jean and her team were professional, patient. They worked every minute, every hour. They were here late on last Tuesday night, and up until Town Hall closed last week, they were working very, very hard. And we are just very grateful for all their great work, especially given the high volume this past week.
So I can just add to that, several folks in that office gave up vacation time to come back. We were up from the traditional 200 or so people who wanted to prepay some of their taxes for the following year, up from 200 to over 1,000 this year. And the amount of effort that takes is Herculean, and these folks came back. They forewent their personal family vacations to come back and do what the town needed them to do. So
That's fantastic.
above and beyond for sure.
I appreciate your saying that, and it's really, that's really something.
Yep.
With that, I'd like to recommend that the board enter into executive session to discuss strategy with respect to a real estate issue, because discussion of this matter in open session may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the town. We will not resume, we will adjourn from the executive session and will not come back to open session. Roll call vote?
Aye.
Aye. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next
Happy New Year.
Tuesday.